Hey guys. So I would have did a video outside, but it's raining, so I'm not doing a video. So this book is what Black folks need to be reading. Okay, by Claud Anderson. Okay, so one of the passages that stuck out to me: racism is about power, wealth, resources, and privilege. So if you have all the power, you have all the resources, you have all the privilege, and you have all the wealth, and you're using that to suppress or oppress another race, that's what racism is, right? Racism is not really what people think it is, right? It's really about economics, right? Like Claud Anderson said, he said that if the cops kill another 20 people today, the only thing that we're going to do, the only thing that Black folks are going to do is protest. We don't have any economic background. We don't have any economic power. We don't have any wealth, and we don't have any privilege. So he said that this is what racism is. You know, people think, it's just a white, Black thing, right? Or African Americans, or Africans in America, or American Africans against Caucasians. And Claud Anderson is saying it's an economic thing. If you don't have wealth, if you don't have power, you don't have resources, you don't have privilege, that puts you in the bottom of the totem pole. So if you have a job and you only have one job, it's impossible, first of all, to build wealth, all right, with a job. All right, that's why I'm always preaching, start your business part-time, start a business part-time, because that's the only thing that's going to allow you to build wealth. So wealth, you have to build wealth, right? Because this is a part of racism, and this video and this book is great for the times that we're in, especially with the George Floyd, and they going through all the protesting and all of that stuff. So racism is wealth, poverty, resources, and privilege. So write those down. Racism, poverty, resources, and privilege. Now, of course, if you want to go more in depth, then just go buy the book and go invest. I don't even know how much I paid for this. I don't know. Maybe $20, maybe $10, whatever it was. I didn't care, right? I bought it. So if you don't have wealth, right, you don't have power, right? And you can't build wealth at a job. So right there, that already puts people that have jobs, not Black people, because remember, this is an economic thing, not Black people. It's literally now putting you at the bottom of the totem pole. Right? So if you don't or don't have an ability to build wealth, right? So you already got one X'd out. And then wealth brings power. So if you can't build wealth, or you don't have a vehicle to build wealth, it's impossible for you to have economic power. Right? So it's wealth, economic power, economic resources, and privilege. Right? So if you don't have the ability, why is this thing falling? If you don't have the ability, guys, to build wealth, then you don't have power. Wealth and power go together. And then if you don't have wealth and you don't have power, you cannot get resources, because if you have a job and you only have one job and all your money is going to bills and you're living check to check, and you're waiting for the next stimulus check, you're waiting for the next unemployment check to come in, you cannot build wealth. You have no power and you're powerless. Okay? So this is for every Black person, every white person, every Indian person, every Asian person, right? Racism is about wealth, power, resources, and privilege. Wealth is number one. And this is all in the Claud Anderson book, Powernomics. If you can't have a way, or you don't have a way to build wealth, that means if you don't have a business, if you're not investing, if you don't invest in courses, if you're not reading books to put in your head, you can't build wealth. You can't build wealth. It's over. You know what I'm saying? It's over for you. You cannot build wealth, right? So when you can't build wealth, you also do not have power. This is what Claude Anderson is saying too. And there's truth to this. Because if you can't, or you don't have a vehicle to build wealth, then you don't have power. You're powerless. And then when you feel powerless, you don't feel like you even worthy of anything. You feel worthless. So now, how do you get resources when it takes wealth and power to get resources? And if you don't have wealth, power, and resources, privilege is out the door. Privilege is out the door. So how it works is wealth is built down from generation to generation, right? So for me, how am I breaking the generational curse in my family? Everybody in my family went to college. You know, my mom went to college, my grandmother, my aunt, uncles, my other aunt, cousins, great aunts. You know, a lot of my family went to college. So if my family only went to college just to get a job, just to have that one income, my family's not building wealth, right? They're not, right? Because everybody's for themselves. Wealth is not about that. Wealth is about community, coming together, right? Helping one another, right? Making sure you're good. I'm making sure that, you know, I'm good. I'm making sure she's good. I'm making sure auntie's good and daddy's good. Wealth, right? So if everybody in my family was for themselves, nobody was for the family, then nobody can build wealth, right? So all they did was hand down what they knew. Nothing was ever tangible that was able to hand down. All they said was a bunch of air. Go to work, go to school. And that was the end. And everybody in my family went to work and went to school. That was the end of our lives. Right? And then we retire, and I guess we figure it out later on, right? But if my grandmother said, I'm going to start a business, or I'm going to open up a laundromat, or I'm going to open up a hair salon, or I'm going to open up a beauty salon, or I'm going to open up a beauty shop or a beauty supply store. See, if my grandmother or my grandmother's mother said that, now that the beauty supply store, my grandmother would have been working there, and all her brothers and sisters also would have been working there, right? So now that's wealth. Now we're building something together. And now that one building can turn into 3, 4 buildings, because now my grandmother could have got her building. Her sister could have got a building, hired their kids to work, right? And then those that 4 buildings could turn into 8 buildings, right? And now we got 8 buildings. We got 8 beauty supply chain stores. My attorney, I have 2 attorneys, one black, one Jewish. My Jewish attorney, he said that I was born into wealth. He said, my family got chains of stores. They got chains of real estate. They got stuff all over the world. And he said, if I stop today working, my family gonna make sure I'm good. My family gonna make sure I either go to the other country and take care of the stuff over there, or go and work in one of the stores. He said, but I will never, ever be without, because I got my family. And that struck me. You know, because me and him talk a lot, you know, about different things and stuff. Like, he's like a political guy, like he's in tune. And it was like, wow, what if my great-grandmother would have started something, right? I would have been born into wealth too, right? So this is how it's built, guys. Your grandmother get a store. She hires all the kids, trains all the kids. The kids know what to do. The kids know how to run the business. Now they say, you know what? I should get another building. Now they know how to get the other building. Now they go get another building. And now my grandmother, if she got 4 kids, now you got 4 more buildings. That's 5. And then all 4 of them have 2 kids or 3 kids. You hire them, right? And then now each one of them go get a building. What? That's like 10 buildings already, right? And then now when it gets to my mother, right? My mother, right? Now she's working for my grandmother. And now she's saying, I should open up me a store too. Now she opens up another store in another state or another city or whatever. And then now I'm born into a lineage of wealth. So don't think all white people are born into wealth. And don't think all black people are born into poverty. Right? See, that's the stereotype that we have. Right? If you start a business, you start some real estate, you start buying stocks now, not to make money. Well, of course we want to make money, but you're building it so that you can hand something down to the next generation. And my Jewish attorney, he's like 50. He's like, if I stop working today, I'm going to still have money rolling in because my family going to take care of me. How many people can actually say that? But when you're born into wealth, that's what happens. And I'm not talking about you got to be wealthy, right? You got to be, at the elitist wealth. No, guys. No. Simple wealth. That's what I'm going to call it. Simple wealth, not even massive wealth, just your grandmother, your great grandmother had a store, your grandmother had a store, your mom had a store. Now you got a store. That's wealth. So now when my kids are born, they're born into wealth because the assets, those buildings could be worth 300 grand, 400 grand, 800 grand altogether. Those buildings could be worth $2-3 million. So now I'm born into wealth. I'm born into it. So now, instead of me starting at the bottom, now I'm able to start at the top. And then now I just go from there, right? That's wealth. And this is what Claud is talking about. So I'm going to read what he said. Okay, so this is it. And this is on page 6. The burden of inequality, and this is on chapter 1. Yeah, chapter 1. Racism, monopolies, and inappropriate behavior. Okay? So it says, I'm going to start from the middle. This nation has never enacted and supported public policies and laws that have denied non-blacks access to this nation's educational, political, social, and economic system. These groups have not been customarily lynched, castrated, exploited, and denied the fruit of their labor. Blacks are the only group of people forced to participate. Oh no, is poor. Yeah, blacks are the only group that are forced to practice capitalism without capital in the richest and most capitalistic nation on earth. These facts, coupled with the majority society's total unwillingness to approve corrective action and reparation for descendants of black slaves, revealed the true nature of racism against black people.
All white, all black. Everybody can dog out there. You can buy real cheap. You can get you a nice house about that size, right? You gotta fix it up.
If you need money, wealth, power, and resources to participate in the economics of the society of America that we're living in. If you need wealth, power, resources, privilege, money to participate in the economic capitalistic system in America. I'm going to say it again. If you need wealth, power, resources, privilege, and money to participate in the economics of the country, to participate in the capitalism of the country, to participate in buying real estate, to participate in buying businesses, to participate in starting businesses. So if you're born into poverty or you're not born into wealth, then how can you participate in the economics of America? How can you participate in the capitalism of America? How? If your mom taught you to go get a job, your dad told you to go get a job, your sister told you to go get a job, your pastor told you to go get a job, your teacher told you to go get a job, and nobody talked about wealth, power, resources, and privilege, or really making money, it is impossible, whether you white or black, it's impossible for you to participate fully in the economics of the world, the capitalism of the world. You need capital to win in America. You need capital to win in America. There was no wealth distributed to poor people, African American people, and middle class people. None. There was no power, because wealth and power and resource all go together. So at the end of the day, guys, see, this scared me when I realized, this was a couple years ago, that you need money. You need money to not even get ahead. Let's not even talk about getting ahead. You need money to participate in the economics of America and the capitalism of America. If you're born and your mom is living check to check, you're born and your dad is living check to check, grandma living check to check, and everybody's saying go to school and go to college and get a job, it's damn near impossible, guys, for you to get ahead. It's damn near impossible for you to win. And this book goes deep. It's damn near impossible, guys, for you to build wealth if you're born into nothing. If you're born into nothing. Right? See, I started studying Black history, not slave trade. I started studying, the queens and the kings. And we made sure we had wealth. We made sure we had power. We made sure we had resources. I wasn't born into wealth. I wasn't born into power. I wasn't born into resources. I wasn't born poor. Because my mom, she had a roof over our head and, we ate. My grandmother had a house, so we was able to go to grandma's house. And being my grandmother had a house, now my grandmother has, 6 kids, right? So my grandmother has a house. She buys a house. Everybody lives there. And then what happens is everybody starts to branch off. So my aunt go buys a house. My other aunt go buys a house. And my uncle go buys a house. So now we got 3 houses, 4 houses in the family, right? So we have something, right? So I wasn't born at the bottom of the totem. I wasn't born poor, right? I did have a hand up. So now I'm like, okay, my grandmother bought a house, my aunt and my uncle and my other aunt bought a house. Okay, well, you know what? I need to buy a house too, right? That's how it works, right? I need to buy a house. So I bought me a house. I got 2 houses, 3 houses actually, 4, right? So now, guess what? I'm doing this. Now I'm going to tell my children. And let's just say all of my houses is worth $2 million. Let's just say my 4 houses, my aunt and my uncle in their house, and my other aunt in my grandmother's house, let's just say that's $3-4 million. Now my children are actually born into wealth, right? Because now, if anything happens to my aunt, uncle, my grandmother, guess what? Where is this going to go, right? It's either going to be distributed to my grandmother's kids or to my child or my kids or myself, right? So then now if my children have kids and grandma got a house, auntie, uncle got a house, I got 4 houses, my husband got a house, right? And then my daughter has a house. Now your baby is born into what, almost $3-4 million worth of assets. Now we have some wealth, and now we also have power, because now we don't have to depend on Section 8. We don't have to depend on Social Security. We don't have to depend on 401k. We don't have to depend on unemployment. We don't have to depend on none of these government programs. We don't have to depend on that, because if anything hit the fan, we have the ability to sell this asset and make money. And if the house is handed down to me and I didn't pay nothing, that's 100% profit. And if it's handed down to my daughter and she got to sell it, that's 100% profit, right? But somebody got to start. That's why we need more Black homeowners. We need more home ownership. That's why I'm big on building your credit. Build your credit, girl. Build your credit, sis. Don't you want your kids to be able to say, I was born into wealth. My mom had 3 houses. My dad had 3 houses. My mom had a house. Even if you start with 1 house or 1 business, now you can hand that business to your kids, or you can hand that house to your kids. And now your kids is thinking home ownership when they live in a house. They're not thinking, oh, I'm gonna go get an apartment. I'm gonna just pay, a couple dollars in rent. No, guys. Racism, wealth, power, resources, and privilege. No one can degrade you, right? When you know where you come from, right? Because the problem is when you're born into poverty, or you born and you don't have any resources, wealth, or any kind of power, you feel powerless, you feel hopeless, right? And then when you look at yourself in the mirror, you feel worthless, because it's like, okay, where's the future at? If my mom's struggling and she on Section 8 and she on food stamps and, she's on a 401k, that's not enough money, where's the hope for me? Right? So that's why the poverty cycle continues generation after generation. The wealth cycle continues after generation after generation. So that's why I said I'm going to be the one to break the cycle, right? My grandmother got a house. She decides to sell it. That's on her. If she decides to sell it, guess what? Now we got some money in the family. Go hit grandma up for a couple dollars. My aunt decide, or my other aunt decide, or my other uncle decide to sell their home. Now we got some money to circulate, right? I can ask my aunt or my uncle, you know what, auntie, uncle, I need, 100,000, or I need 10,000. Ain't nobody gonna say, oh, I ain't got that type of money. No. Now we all can come to the table and say, what is it that you need? What is it that she need? What is it? Right? So the first step, guys, is taking the action. Right? The first step is taking the action to building wealth and having power, right? And resources. That's why when I help people and people get into my classes, I give them resources so they can feel powerful. That's why in my marketing system, it's a resource. Taking one of my classes is a resource to help you get some wealth and some power so you can have privilege for yourself. And privilege is just the ability to be able to do certain things. That's what privilege is. Be able to do certain things. Because you don't have money, you can't do certain things. Because you don't have any wealth, you can't do certain things. Because you don't have assets, you can't do certain things. Because you don't have power, you can't do certain things. You gotta go to work. You don't have the power to stay home. You gotta bow down to your boss because you don't have the power to create your own. You gotta depend on Social Security and 401ks and unemployment and all that other shit because you don't have any wealth.
They come off that, and I don't mean to be speaking derogatory, but they come off that privilege shit and realize, yo, you just a ball working class.
This book is very deep, and I suggest all of my followers get this. All of my subscribers, make sure you guys get this book, okay? This book will bust your mind open. But it's going to bust your mind open to realize that I need wealth, I need resources, I need power, and I need privilege. I need my kids being born into a home, not Section 8, not an apartment, or not a house that the government paying for. No, you have a house that your business can pay for. Now your children is born into that. And your children by default see what's going on. They see, I could go outside and play in the backyard. I could go outside and play in the front yard. I ain't got to worry about a building or somebody telling me I can't stand in front of the building or, come on, guys. We got to get better. So racism, guys, right? Especially in America. A lot of white people, white privilege, we can say black privilege too, right? White privilege. They have power, they have wealth, they have resources. Some of them are born into it, and some of them went out and got it, right? So we can continue to blame the white man and say the white man ain't give me my reparations, or the white man didn't give me no wealth, or the white man didn't give me, my Section 8. Or we can say, you know what? How can I get me a house without the government? Because the government always got all these stipulations and shit. How can I get a house without the government? How can I get money without the government or without a job? Because if you depend on a job, it's the government that you're depending on. How can I build some wealth without the government, right? How can I get some resources without depending on the government, right? Black people are more emotionally strong than economic strong. We're so emotional, right? We get mad easily. We get sad easily. We get depressed easily. We love fighting each other, right? We love tearing each other down, right? But economically, we're weak. We're strong in emotions. We'll get mad and protest and, all that other shit. But when it's time to economics and say, I got a black business that sells toilet paper, that sells tissue, that sells soap and lotion, that store should be out of stock of every fucking thing. Because we went in there and we empowered that black person. We empowered that black woman or that black man to feed their black kids because they decided to sell tissue that we need, toothpaste that we need, right? Paper towels that we need, soap that we need, cups that we need, right? And then now the wealth stays in the black community. Unfortunately, it's too many coons in the black community. What is coons? Black people that think they're white. Black people that feel like, oh, I'm not really black, because, I was born in a different part of, or a different side of the state from where everybody in the hood was born. Or, I work with a bunch of white people. So now I'm adopting the white views of what the white people are doing. So now I'm thinking I'm white. I'm going to bleach my skin because I want to be lighter. I'm not happy with my dark skin. I love my melanin, baby. Right? I love me. Right? So if we keep this emotional currency, that's what I'm going to call it. We have so much emotional currency that all that this emotional currency is doing is digging us deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And like Claud Anderson said, every time a black man is killed, we gonna march. The white people only understand Wealth, power, resource, and privilege. That's all they understand. They not emotional. They don't have a bunch of emotional currency. Black people have the emotional currency. They got the economic currency. So they understand wealth and resources. So if we take our money out of Gucci, out of Louis, out of Chanel, right? Out of the Chinese nail salons, out of the Chinese hair salons, or the Chinese beauty supply stores, and put it into black, this is when our voice will be heard as a black people. This is when our voice will be heard as a black people. This is when our voice, I'm always for black people. Black man did my nails. Black man did my feet. Right? My husband, black man, cut his hair. My daughter, she does hair all the time. She's a black girl. Right? So I'm starting. Right? But see, I'm just one person. Right? So all I can do now is continue on this journey of gaining wealth, power and resource and privilege and having money, right? Because that's all that matters. And then now I can train and teach my kids. But my kids have a higher starting point. Let's just say I started on step number 3. They started on step number 7. So their kids can start on step number 14. Right? And won't be at the motherfucking bottom of the potent hole, trying to scrape up pennies just to make ends meet. Too many people are struggling just to feed their kids. Too many single moms are struggling just to feed their kids because they started under the bottom. Yeah. Under the bottom. Not at the bottom. They started under the bottom. Right? We got to say, I'm tired of my people starting under the bottom. Right? Why we can't get a step up? See, I started on step number 3, right? Because my family was already established. They already had houses, right? My family was already coming together doing things, right? So now I got to step it up a notch. Now I got to say, we can't depend on the white man. We can't depend on the job, right? We can't keep depending on the college. I got to depend on me. So if I am on step 3, and even if I do nothing, but just stay on step 3, now my kids can start at step 3 and not under the damn steps. Now I'm working on building assets and getting assets. Guess what? Now I'm able to get my kid up. And now they can start at level 7 and not level 3 because mommy's working, right? So they start at level 7. Now, when they start growing in life and, start going up, now they get to level 14. When they have kids, their kids are starting at level 14. Not under the motherfucker. On step number 14 instead of under the damn steps. You can continue running your life. You can continue running your life the way the government wants you to. You can continue running your life without resources, without power, without privilege, without wealth. You're just going, your family's legacy is just going to be a harder struggle year after year after year. But if you decide and say, you know what? I'm going to start me a business today. I'm going to buy me some real estate today. I'm going to buy me some stocks today. And then be consistent with that. Constantly buy real estate. Constantly buy stocks. Constantly invest in your business. Constantly work your business to build your business. Now when your baby arrives or you get pregnant, now you know for sure you feel secure. You're not worried about going to the shelter. You're not worried about Section 8. You're not worried about WIC and food stamps, right? Because now you're going to make sure your kid is starting on step number 3 or step number 5. But you got to give a fuck about wealth. You got to give a fuck about power. You got to give a fuck about resources. And if you don't, your kids will be in poverty. Their kids will be in poverty. You will be in poverty because if you don't do nothing, when your kids get older, and it's time for them to leave, they're not going to leave because they don't have the confidence. They don't have no wealth. They don't have no power. They don't have no resources. They ain't got no money. So they can't leave. right? Now you got to take care of your 30-year-old, 40-year-old, 50-year-old kid because they ain't got no wealth, power, and resources because you ain't got no wealth, power, and resources. So it's handed down through generation after generation after generation after generation after generation, where it becomes indestructible wealth. Because my grandmother got a house, my aunties got a house, my dad got a house, my cousins got a house, I got a house, I got houses. Now my kids are looking at that. Okay, well, auntie got a house, grandma got a house, mom, got houses, dad got a house. Okay, then I need to get me a house. But if, everybody's renting, everybody's on Section 8, grandma's on Section 8, mom on Section 8, cousin on Section 8, sister on Section 8, well, I might as well get on Section 8. That's what your kids are going to say. That's why I'm an advocate, guys, for people starting their own business. I am an advocate, guys, for people starting their own business. I am an advocate for people starting their own business. I am an advocate for people starting their own business. So you can have resources and you can build wealth. So your children can have a hand up and not look for a hand out. Because if you don't give them a hand up, they're going to go on the government cheese line. They're going to be on the free food line. They're going to be on the line for Section 8. They're going to be on the line for Medicaid. They're going to be on the line for unemployment. They're going to be on the line for welfare, looking for a handout. So who's going to break the cycle? If it won't be you, it ain't going to be nobody. If it won't be you, it won't be nobody. That's why I'm always investing in myself. That's why I'm always telling my team, make sure you invest in yourself so you can have wealth, power, resources, so you can feel good about yourself. When you have money, you feel good. When you have power, you feel good. When you got resources, you feel good. When you don't feel good about yourself. You're always stressed out. It's never enough. It's always a problem. So you got to make your next move your best move. You have to make your next move your best move. Your family's wealth is riding on a decision that you make today. Not the decisions that you make tomorrow, but the decisions that you make today. So make a decision. Get this book. That's your first start. If you're interested in my Black Wealth class, it's $250 for the year, right? And I train you every month on different things. This month, June, we're going to be talking about securing your own bag. Securing your own bag, your own black bag. So it's time. It's time. It's time. It's time to build black wealth and nothing else. Your family deserves black wealth. Your children deserves black wealth. Your children deserve to be born into wealth. Don't you think? BlackWealth101.net. Make sure you get this book too. Because it's the only thing, guys, that's going to save you. We have to save ourselves. We have to save ourselves. Not the government line, not Medicaid, not a 401k, and damn sure not Social Security. See you guys soon.